Hi guys, this is Smartphone Everything, and today we are going to find out what is the best-selling smartphone in history. When you look at today's smartphone market, there is a pool of never-ending new companies. Never in history did we have this much choice about which smartphone are we going to buy next. You are literally spoiled with choice in every price segment in today's market, and for a casual smartphone buyer, it's easy to get lost in all these new manufacturers and their products, especially because almost every one of them companies is releasing new devices every few months. But now, let's get back to our topic and see which company made the best-selling smartphone in history. To find the answer, we have to go back to the 2014, because that's the year our smartphone was released. Although you didn't have as much smartphone companies in 2014 as you have today, there were a lot of great phones on the market at the time. HTC One M8, Samsung Galaxy S5, LG G3, Sony Xperia Z3, OnePlus One, Google Nexus 6, Moto G, and plenty more. Generally, all these phones had solid sales numbers in 2014, some better, some worse. But it's hard to say that any of these devices were particularly bad phones in any way. But, some of you might have guessed it, our answer for the best-selling smartphone device in history goes to Apple's iPhone 6 and 6 Plus. Traditionally, Apple released their new phone in September that year like always, and it was reported that Apple sold around 13 million units of their 6 and 6 Plus models in the first 72 hours. Reviews were coming and everyone said the same thing. They've done it again. Compared to the last year's iPhone 5S, the new iPhone 6 lineup was drastically different than their last year's models, for the first time in history. Don't get me wrong, iPhone 5S was an excellent device in every way, but in general, we can make a case that Apple's design language hasn't really changed that much from their original 2007 iPhone days to the 2013 iPhone 5S. Just by looking at those phones year by year, you could say it was more of an evolution than a revolution, but to be honest, there was no reason to change it, because almost everyone always agreed that Apple simply had the best build quality and design, and that premium feel when you hold their phone in your hand was always present. So when the iPhone 6 was released, people were blown away with their new design. I personally always loved that 4-inch screen size on the iPhone 5S. There was just something about it being so easy to hold it in your hand and just put it in your pocket. But times are changing, and contrary to the Steve Jobs quote from the 2010s saying, "No one would want to buy a phone with a big screen," the smartphone market was already pushing for that 5 and even 6-inch display size in 2014. So when the people saw the new iPhone 6 and iPhone 6 Plus with their 4.7-inch and 5.5-inch display sizes, they were just too excited to see that from an Apple device. And as far as I can remember, except for the 2007 and the original iPhone, I just can't remember the time when there was a bigger hype about the new Apple device than in 2014 with their 6 series. There was a lot of hype in 2017 about the new iPhone X, but in my mind, nothing comes even close to the 2014 and the release of the iPhone 6 lineup. Apple hit the jackpot with their new revolutionary device and sales were going through the roof. It was reported that Apple sold around 220 million units of their iPhone 6 and 6 Plus smartphones. Just to put these numbers into context, for example, the second best-selling smartphone in history is Nokia 5230. It was Nokia's budget smartphone released in 2009, and it was powered with their Symbian OS. And reportedly Nokia sold around 150 million units of this device. But this was a long time ago, and although this phone is considered a smartphone, we can't really compare it with these newer devices in any way. But what we can compare it to is the third best-selling smartphone of all time, and that is Samsung Galaxy S4. Released in 2013, Samsung really nailed it with the S4, and to this day, none of their newer smartphones didn't succeed in topping their Galaxy S4 in sales results. To this day, it is the best-selling Android smartphone ever released. I even made a video about this phone and how it became the best-selling Android device ever. I'll leave a link in the description, so feel free to check it out. Anyway, Samsung sold around 80 million units of their Galaxy S4 smartphone, so when you compare it to the iPhone 6 line which sold around 220 million units, you can say that Apple really broke that record by a huge margin. I honestly can't see any newer device breaking this kind of record anytime soon. Even the 80 million best-selling Android smartphone record is still holding to this day, let alone this unreal 220 million units record. Just to make it clear, I'm aware that we are talking about two of Apple's devices when we talk about this record, because every list you can find on the internet is based on ranking the Apple's iPhone 6 and iPhone 6 Plus into one record. And I think it's mainly because all the sales reports and results about Apple were directed at both of these devices together. Honestly, I did some digging, and everything I found was that the iPhone 6 accounts for roughly about 70% of those sales, and the bigger 6 Plus model took the other 30%, but there was nothing official to back this up. Anyway, I think one of the main reasons why in a foreseeable future these records won't be touched is that, in 2020, there are just too many new smartphone manufacturers and competition is bigger than ever. On top of that, Today's flagship models are more expensive than ever before, and with mid-range and budget smartphones being better than ever, a lot of people simply decide to buy something more affordable rather than spend over $1,000 on a new top-of-the-line flagship. So, what do you think? Are these records ever going to be broken? If yes, which company do you think is capable of making a record-breaking device today? Tell us in the comments, I'm really interested to hear you out. Thank you for watching, guys. If you liked my content, feel free to like and subscribe to my channel, I would really appreciate it. Peace!